thank you for being here. We appreciate it. And yeah, work with Reed at Worlds. Really excited about continuing to push mixed reality in the music space. So thanks for being here.
Awesome. So yeah, again, whole point here is rediscovering mixed reality as competitive advantage in a competitive results-driven world. Music is often thought as this like very pure kind of artistic industry, but especially now it's very data-driven. Everything from A&R to marketing to, as Jacqui knows, like budgets, kind of everything in a label is highly competitive.
Yeah, it's all about the numbers. It's unfortunate sometimes there can be amazing songs and it just doesn't translate, or it'll get lost in the shuffle, and it's really playing into algorithms, and it's a numbers game, and I hate math, so it's not fun.
Exactly. So lesson one we have here is entertainment is the utility, at least how we see it. Early on in 2022, working with some partners, we were exploring Coachella and Coachellaverse and augmented reality. And so it was, how do we figure out what this mixed reality strategy is for a large festival that people are going to? We created some really cool technology using different SDKs to create really cool wayfinding, all these fun like things in the app, but ultimately we found out that people don't attend Coachella for the convergence of technology and wayfinding. They go attend for the spectacle, the scale, the music, and how it makes them feel. So again, a JPEG with map works better sometimes, and we had to realize, what are we actually trying to solve here? Lesson two, so we went back to the drawing board from Coachella and with our other campaigns. We're like, if utility is not what we're going for, what are we really going for, and what can we measure in a label situation? Because again, we're sitting here trying to pitch Jacqui on why she should do these marketing campaigns. And so new mission.
And I have to pitch it to my artists, so don't forget that, it's hard.
That's true, too. It's not just her, yeah. So our new mission was views, shares, and saves. How do we optimize all of these stats as best we can? So we decided to make 20 times the effects, and we thought there'd be 20 times the stats. We figured pretty simple math. We did extreme volume across Coachella, across other festivals, across artist tours, just different marketing, album cycles. A lot of varied results, but ultimately the face effect was undefeated. And for those in AR, it's kind of a thorn, at least on our side, where it's kind of like you do all these amazing technologies, you push the limits, you debut new hardware, new software, but it's always the simplest thing that works. So again, why always a face effect? It's easy to share, easy to consume in a purely digital environment. I think that's where we went wrong. One of the insights we got from a partner, if you are familiar with logos, you might be able to tell who it is, was the only KPI that matters to them is videos created, which means videos scrolled, which means ads served. And so that was interesting to us because we thought about it more. AR was strictly benchmarked as an engagement tool, competing with auto captions, trending audios, influencers, and paid socials. And that was something new to us because we thought a lot of these platforms were really championing AR for AR's sake. And so is that the best space for AR to compete? And are we really playing the right game against paid ads and influencers? Unfortunately, it was not, and it's hard to win those budgets. So this is where we get to kind of this last thing, which will jump off our case studies after this, is realizing our competitive advantage. This happened a lot with the restructuring of Instagram to remove Spark AR and some of these other platforms kind of keeping walled gardens. And so we were trying to think of, at the essence, what is augmented reality? Again, like reframing this. Augmented reality is software. Why does software eat the world? Mainly because the world's limited. Software is immediate and scalable. Software has marginal costs. How do we activate that same thing? Live events are limited. And so we were kind of looking at that in terms of the builds for physical experiential, the staffing, the capacity, the cost, and the physics of it are all very limiting. That's something that we can actually optimize more than paid advertisements or influencers. Again, augmented reality is not near as limited. And so we're going to talk a bunch today about some experiential advertising software we built and world building at scale. And I think that's where we've really found this kind of cool sweet spot in music that we can own a lane that actually wins.
Another thing I love, even though you were talking shit about a platform, but so do I. I think it's important to know that it's nice not to be, you're not stuck using Snapchat or TikTok or Instagram. This is, cross-platform. And I think for artists and social audiences, every artist is using all these platforms and it's a different audience, and being able to, be agnostic to that is super important, and is one of the reasons why I love working with these guys.
Thank you. So this is our first case study. DK, you want to jump into it? Yeah.
Yeah, so one of our amazing partners is Coachella, and Coachella does an incredible job of bringing a ton of people to an event. And so when there's a ton of people at an event, brands want to be involved. The issue is that the physical space for brands to be able to activate is finite. So how can we create more opportunities for brands to engage with the fans that doesn't take up as much physical space? So the amazing thing with mobile AR is we can host an experience just with a little bit of information on a sign with a QR code, and be able to drive more traffic to brand activations on site, or to create new ways for brands to engage like with the fan base digitally and be able to kind of collect some golden nuggets of data and be able to communicate with the fans after the event.
And don't forget, it's affordable.
It's affordable.
Yeah, that's true. The idea of having like a QR code sign that you can tour with an artist. So going back to that idea, I don't know how to go back in the slides, so I'm just gonna have to imagine it. When you do an artist tour, there's a lot of costs that don't scale. You have to have the band travel with you, you have to have your merch travel with you, there's the setup, the takedown, like nothing is scalable, and that's why you see a lot of artists canceling tours now.
And merch cuts.
Yeah, that too. And so the idea of being able to use augmented reality to launch these really crazy experiences you might not be able to launch normally or build normally is a really interesting thing and a way for fans to feel like they have some exclusive experience. So again, building a QR code sign is a lot easier and sometimes more compelling than just building out an actual world.
Speaking of affordable, this idea, no, you'll see where I'm going with this. This idea actually came up, obviously, in case you're not sure, this was for Mac Miller, I never know how to pronounce this correctly, the posthumous album in January earlier this year. And basically, Mac's brother, who was also his creative director and the estate holder, wanted to have actual hot air balloons or giant balloons over this screening. It was a short film that they made to accompany the album. And they were all over, the world. So there was about 6 locations. I can't remember anymore. Like we said, numbers are hard for me. Basically, we're like, we cannot afford that. And then I was like, I have a solution. And that's when I love my job, is finding creative solutions, and called up these guys, and sort of the rest was history. It was basically a 2-part campaign. The first part was on the Tuesday before album release, and album releases are on Friday. There was the screening, and we anchored this specific balloon to the different screening locations that were all on site. So they were bespoke to each location. Album comes out Friday. That Sunday was Mac's birthday, and they put together this amazing piece of content that showcased a global AR filter that you'd have to go outside and look up, and it was everywhere. And then people were able to submit it online and to have a gallery to see everyone. And it was a really nice way to bring everyone together for, this album, his birthday, and this moment. And it was really fun creating it, and we did it on a super short timeline. And from there, I think it really inspired the 3 of us to keep going.
For sure. And, that last case study with the Nike thing, it's, that was really like very attention grabbing. Like, wow, okay, there's this massive shoe jumping off of this massive rainbow tower in the middle of the festival. Like, wow, that's a really cool visual spectacle that I want to go and take a video of. With this, like, we really forced ourselves creatively to think as simply as possible, because at the end of the day, like, fans just wanted a chance to connect with Mac. And so just something as simple as a balloon floating by their window and feeling like they can look out and take a video and have a moment with Mac, that's like really what resonated with this audience. And so it's just like one tidbit that it doesn't always need to be like this crazy visual spectacle. It can also just be something that's more heartfelt.
Yeah, and again, going back to that whole scalable, away from that, this was beautiful, DK. The idea that we had these like custom experiences at each theater and then open up worldwide. I think within 24 hours we had 6,000 videos recorded in 100 different countries. So I think that is something where you can lean into a really cool advantage of AR here in augmenting reality around the world. Do you want to talk about this one?
For sure. Our friends Justice. So Justice had this massive tour, new album release, and they wanted to do something really special in their hometown of Paris. So what we wanted to do is basically create like a walkthrough, all the key moments in their like artistic journey. So we were able to basically create geo-located experiences at all of the different like places in Paris, like their first performance venue, where they first recorded their studio album, and these other like key moments along their artistic journey. And then it all culminated here at Accor Arena, and basically took like the hyper drama blimps here and placed them all throughout the city. And then there's that little info card there to kind of learn about why this place meant something to Justice.
I'm really upset I didn't get to work on this with them, but that's what happens when we work at a label.
Woo!
But we got to do this one. Apparently, they have got a thing for French electronic producers. So this was with David Guetta. Interesting enough, his manager saw the Mac Miller project and was like, we want to do that, which is always music to my ears when an artist is coming to, their team is coming to me and being like, saw your work, we want a version of ours. So this summer, David Guetta had just wrapped up his residency in Las Vegas and has his in Ibiza this summer that I think is started this week. And this campaign is still ongoing, but the part one, he has this song with Sia that is doing super well, and we wanted to have sort of a moment culminating his run in Vegas. So we created this filter that says, "You are beautiful." It's super simple. I was fortunate enough to go to Vegas and experience it in real time and use it with different creators that we were able to piggyback off of another campaign. And this is just another example of, how do you... We never know how, like as a label, we don't have any tour rights. But when an artist tours really well, especially in the electronic music space, how do you generate people to then go stream the song or showcase this song and get them versus whatever the cool moment is with the fireworks or the sparklers in the set? So for us, this was a bespoke way to really drive into like the heart of a song. And we hope to continue to do more of that, in the future and really tie the tour to music consumption, again, from a very label perspective. But at the end of the day, it's really artist first and making sure it's authentic to them.
Exactly, well said. And just to wrap it up, kind of bring full circle, here's a couple other things we've done with Coachella over the years, and obviously the couple of people in this room we've been able to work with, which has been very fortunate, and we've worked with a lot of creators around the world. But the whole idea, again, that we found very compelling across this is not trying to compete with short-form video necessarily all the time or compete with paid ads, but to find these really special moments that feel premium for the audience that's already there. The big buzzword in the music industry is super fans, if you didn't know, and so that's what everyone's trying to monetize and monetize and monetize, and there's a lot of products being pushed there, and I think that if we can deliver another layer of experience that feels exclusive to them, it's really special. So.
And it's not even like, okay, yes, you have, the 10,000 super fan that everyone loves to talk about, but everyone forgets the part is, how do you turn them into super fans? That's the part no one talks about. And I think I love to gamify fandom and rewarding fans for participation. So giving them something special, giving them something exclusive. Yes, everyone knows that you're gonna film your favorite artist at a show and post it on your socials. How about I have a bespoke special asset from that moment that no one else from the rest of the tour has? I'm gonna want to showcase that and feel special and feel closer to the artist. Then I become a super fan. Now I can monetize you.
Exactly, bravo. So again, just to kind of recap, I think the biggest thing here was reframing and then finding the right game. Especially now the world is evolving, I would just say, obviously a lot of the conversations now are around AI. If AI is a tool, I think that's great. If it's a competitor, maybe it's not the best use of AR all the time. It could be, but again, I think be careful of where you play the games you play and then also what you're trying to achieve.
Quick fun fact, DK over here used AI to make a composite of a picture of the three of us and shared it on his LinkedIn. You should all check it out.
That was really disturbing. So again, yeah, don't build a better map and beware of unfair games. And then this was just a kind of corny thing I added, so I'll skip it now.
I tried to delete it, it didn't go well.
So yeah, we'll open it up for questions if anyone has any.
Thank you for doing that talk. So I'd worked in the music industry, mostly on like the film side for festivals and stuff. And when I started getting into immersive, I really found it difficult to communicate to the stakeholders in the music industry, like at the labels, management, about why they should be using immersive. Do you have any tips about how to have those conversations in a way? Because I found the music industry to be very conservative in what they actually want to pay for in this space.
Thank you for my biggest pain point. These guys will tell you, I honestly think we've pitched more ideas than we've executed together, and a lot of them have turned up. I joke that I probably get around 15 to 20% of my ideas across the line, and that's Good. It's super hard, and I think right now, the industry, specifically from a label or the perspective, is how do we, there is a fear of spending money in new things that aren't proven, but you have to find those artists who are willing to experiment or find those use cases. Like Mac was the best example. That was something that was a creative solution that then sold another artist because you get to see it in real time. It's kind of dumb luck, I'm not gonna lie. And then, I've been talking to different people here, and I say a lot of times, like, hey, give us that affordable rate or at cost or whatever it may be, because that music artist is gonna drive so much more engagement and excitement, then go sell it to brands. So I joke, I worked with Australians a bunch back in my day. I call it the mate rate. I have to pull the mate rate all the time. It's cool. I work at a label. Pretty much all the labels have like at least one of me. And it's hard for us. Like, I wish I had a better story for you, but I think it's, really finding creative ideas that resonate with artists. I'm also really fortunate enough to work with like Mike Shinoda of Linkin Park. He's one of the most innovative artists. So it's just finding the right artist, the right time, the right idea. Yeah.
Yeah, if I could add on that a bit, I'd say that kind of building what you were saying at the end, Jacqui, a really interesting way to go about it is just going more artist direct. I think it's a lot of time easier to get them excited, and when labels are already pitching them 5 different things they need attention on, it's hard for them to take the time to like teach them about AR. And I think, again, just also being...
Lead the label.
Yeah, sorry. She's great. But also I think the idea of thinking about like really who you are selling to. So if you are selling to a label, they have the recording rights or like the master recordings. And so how does this drive consumption for the song? So maybe not the concert. If you're speaking to a festival, how does it drive tickets? If it's like an artist tour and a promoter, how do you sell tickets? So I think just taking into account the nuances of who you're selling to, because music has so many, and then just thinking of like what is their most important kind of KPI. Because I think that some people don't care at all about streaming. Some people don't care at all about tickets, and just knowing who you're.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say, at pretty much any deck with any partner, any idea, I always put our goals of the campaign at the first slide. Like, everyone just wants to know why the hell should we do this, and not just go pay influencers on TikTok.
And then last thing is everybody wants to be a part of the creative process. So if you present something that's like a fully baked idea, it's kind of hard. You want to get them excited about it, but make them feel like they're a part of the visualization of the project.
Yeah, it's a question and also some feedback. I'm an artist, music artist for many years, moved over into AR, VR creation, and the music industry is a really slow train, slow boat to turn around, has always been, but jumps on the train once it's moving. I went straight into VR, working with people, mainly with the artists that I know, like Laurie Anderson, George Clinton, Vernon Reid, and created experiences, 30-minute experiences for them, for a project I was doing at Lincoln Center. All VR-based, 3 worlds that you travel through, ending up in the concert with the artist. It was funded not by the music industry, to say that to begin with, but just in terms of being able to take artists who are, specifically I work with some legacy artists, and one of the things I'm focused on is not those who are still alive, who are interested, creating a historically an experience that you can go into that they've been a part of. I collaborated with the artists, they created the music for the experience, and also decided what their world was going to look like. Getting the music industry to do this would not have ever happened, or at least it didn't happen. But just in terms of what you're doing, in terms of larger scale, being able to generate fans, being able to generate income for the artists, has the artist been able to gain any income from this extended reality experiences that you're doing with AR?
I have with VR. Actually, I was here last year speaking with Amaze VR and doing a similar presentation where we went through and worked on some projects together, and they were fully funded. I'm going to answer your question, but there's one thing I do want to say. The reason it's hard to get budget and record labels to spend money is everyone should remember that everything's a recoupable cost. We sort of act as VCs. So if I spend $30,000 on a project, that artist, that's $30,000 less from their streaming revenue. So I will defend them in that regard. Like, we should be very careful about what we're spending and making sure that it is directly or indirectly driving revenue. To get to your question, yes, we've seen indirect revenue. So in this case, and we've talked a lot about this, is making sure that when you are sharing these on your, your story or whatever social platform, that you're using the official sound. That's an attribution system you can track, and we can see that drives consumption, which is how a record label gets paid, which is how we pay an artist. So it's a bit convoluted, but yes, of course. And then in the case of VR concerts as well, there's a sync fee attached to that. So again, that's how an artist can get paid, and working with different platforms and partners who basically fund the project. So it's a brand fee.
Yeah, I would just add to that really quick. I think that a lot of this stuff could, and it's not easy to pitch, but again, be augmented by a brand, and so they can come with funding. But I think even looking at those legacy acts, it's interesting looking at what ABBA Voyage is done over in London right now, where it's like they've created this incredible business model they're trying to expand quickly, where they have this legacy band that's performing through a hologram, and it's selling out night over night, year after year. And so I think that there's a lot of demand for that, and it's just the thing they've figured out that a lot of the industry hasn't figured out is like being able to remove the friction from an access point. And so I think a lot of this stuff, to be able to create like a 30-minute experience like you're talking about, requires a headset, which might not be as available to everyone. And so I think that there is something there. I think it's just the industry needs to catch up and be able to get it in front of people easier. So I'm excited to see where it goes, I guess, if that helps at all.
I think we have time for one more.
My question is follow on this discussion is what about how an artist could maybe more directly monetize is what about digital merch in the AR world that they could then use in posts or things like that that could maybe benefit both the label and the artist. But if the artist is just getting a tiny percentage of things, it could be something that would be more direct to.
I'm obsessed with digital fashion. We're slowly getting there. Unfortunately, a lot of the different players are a Roblox who you really cannot make much money there with their revenue splits. They know that. We're trying to figure that one out. So it's very hard, and same, where you have all these different, sort of gaming, metaverse, whatever you want to call them, digital worlds. It exists there, and I think in the AR side, this is like we're in the crawling stage before you can walk or run. I think what you're talking about is something that we all would love to do. You know what I mean? I think the virtual try-on is kind of the first step to that. I just think it's so early right now, but I definitely believe in it.
Ways you could do it, like micro purchases at a festival that you could then add into your AR experience in video. I don't know.
Definitely. I think that a big thing that kind of helped that, or will help that, is when AR moves outside of these like walled social gardens, because they're not really going to want that to happen unless they're getting a cut of it. But I think that hopefully as more app clips, instant apps, AR is native in phones, there's ways to kind of monetize that. But I think
I still think the virtual try-on is the first step. You have to get used to that, and I think that's a really good use case. I'm curious if somebody wants to showcase what they're wearing virtually versus what they want to wear IRL. You know what I mean? I think it's more about what's a additional experience. That's just sort of where my head's at.
thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.